Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I just wanted to share Wilmington, North Carolina's 2020 review. 22 homicide victims this year alone. They said that I think 2017 held the highest record. This is so sad. This is how bad gun violence and stuff has gotten. And it's gotten like this everywhere, but this is a high number. 22 people in 1 year, that's a really high number, especially for an area as small as Wilmington. Wilmington was about 20 minutes from my hometown in North Carolina. And even back when I was a kid, these areas were so dangerous. Even then, but now it's like way worse. And drugs have just taken over completely.
Died after a shooting early this morning on 13th Street in Wilmington. Police identified the victim as Taiwan Parsley, but they still aren't sure who shot him or why. Sadly, it's a situation that has played out in the city almost 24 times this year. Tonight, WECT's Kendall McGee takes a look back at all 22 of the city's homicides this year. Kendall, that number seems high, but how does 2020 compare to years past?
Anna, it's definitely been a tough year for our community. Those 22 homicides now setting a record high for Wilmington, surpassing the previous record of 20 homicides back in 2017. 22 lives cut short. The latest victim, Taiwan Parsley, who was just in his 20s.
The violence has just gotten
sad.
My people are tired. The community's tired. I am tired of this. Something's got to change here.
That was Chief Police in Wilmington, North Carolina, Donnie. I have heard that he is really a really good guy, and that he's really trying his best to make Wilmington safer.
Wish in Chief Donnie Williams' voice is apparent. The violent year started with the murder of George Porter, who was killed during a drug-related armed robbery on 4th Street. This spring, the city saw a string of violence, starting when Daquan Jacobs was shot and killed in a crash that shut down Oleander Drive.
Dang.
Police arrested 3 men on the day of his funeral after someone wearing a ski mask, carrying a semi-automatic rifle, exited a car near the service.
We can't live like this.
A week later, father and popular party promoter Sean Skeedaw Grady was shot and killed at a home on Montgomery Avenue, leaving another family in mourning.
I miss him. That's my heart. Like, I have my times where I break down and cry. Like, it still really hasn't hit me yet. Like, I wait for him to walk through the door.
Police promised a plan to cut down violence, and they delivered it too, making the presentation the day after protests rocked downtown. But the pandemic has ultimately proved to be a huge obstacle in implementing much of the city's gun violence reduction plan. Wilmington saw another spike in violence again this summer when a 15-year-old was killed in a shootout on Carolina Beach Road. Weeks later, the community lost young mother Shamia Green and Titus Vaughn on the same block of 11th Street.
Smooth was very special.
That's sad.
And he's going to be very missed.
The holidays were also extremely difficult for some families. A Halloween shooting taking the life of 19-year-old Carly Barron. And on Christmas Eve, the family of Jaleesa Bellamy was left to grieve her loss. That brings us to this week's latest shooting, which now breaks the city's homicide record, bringing the total to 22. That's 22 daughters, fathers, and friends, taken too soon, almost entirely due to gun violence.
Our hearts and prayers go out to his family. This senseless violence throughout our city has to stop.
It's so sad. It's just so awful for everyone, the victims, their families, the communities, the surrounding communities. It's so scary. And I lived minutes from Wilmington throughout most of my childhood. And our town was, dangerous at times too, but our town was never, we never had murder victim numbers the way Wilmington always has. I don't know what makes Wilmington so much more dangerous. I'm sorry, stuff like this it really hits my emotions so hard. And it just makes me think, because that could be your family, my family, our friends and family. And we can't control it, It's like, what do you do? What do you do to and it's like since COVID, it's gotten so much worse. Domestic violence numbers have quadrupled since COVID. Pregnancy numbers have, skyrocketed since COVID. Which is fine. It's just interesting how COVID has affected so many things. Now, Wilmington has been a dangerous place for a long time, but since COVID, it really has, gotten pretty bad. I mean, I don't know. It's just such a sad, scary situation. I just wanted to share this because, like someone said here, the violence just has to stop. My people are tired. The community is tired. I am tired of this. Something has got to change. That was Wilmington Police Department Chief Donnie Williams who said that, actually. Our hearts and prayers go out to his family. This senseless violence in our city has to stop. And that was about the 26-year-old Taiwan Parsley who died on 13th Street after he was shot. And it's crazy, they even say right there that it's a situation the city has seen play out nearly 24 times this year. 24 times. Y'all, if you get on a map, look up Wilmington. This is not a huge area, okay? Wilmington is smaller than most counties in North Carolina. Because most people would say, oh, well, that's got to be a huge place to have high numbers like that. It's not. It's not a huge place. But, if you get time, just check it out. It's just scary.